Hello, good morning. You want to drink some tea with me? Yeah, awesome. I could have scheduled 2 minutes later for 12:34. Oh, yeah, in channeling, we're not big on the angel numbers and have them having any specific meaning. So the reason why guides use angel numbers, and it's angels that use those numbers. I have a colleague who writes a really good blog. Her name is Joanne Scribe. And I've been trusting her numbers for 20 years now. So she's got a blog spot, just a free blog spot about all these numbers. And it's so much more in depth, than what I could ever describe to you because she spent like years studying all sorts of her own inner guidance, not numerology or astrology, like her own inner guidance. So that's why I trust her when it comes to that. So I've got a really in-depth class coming up on oh my gosh, September the 12th with a channeling master and healing master. Her name is Jen Ward. You guys have seen me on here with her before. And I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of what the class is about by talking about channeling today and talking about some of the misperceptions and misconceptions of what it is and how people kind of have a stigma attached to it, what it is and isn't, and also just to answer all your questions and see where your blocks to channeling would be. But I'm telling you, this class is going to be probably the most powerful channeling class that I have ever taught, the one coming up on September the 12th. And it's going to be more of an intimate class, a smaller class. We're going to close the doors early on it, which is why I'm marketing it way in advance. It's a good idea to get that now before I have to close doors. That's PamelaAaralyn.com. So you'll get both of us, two people who've channeled pretty much all their lives, getting all of our secrets and all the fun stuff and all the easy parts of it. This is a simple, clear, concise class. So I'm really sorry about the passing of your son, Mark. You have all my blessings to you and your family. I'm not answering psychic questions or doing mediumship today, but I can talk to you about how to work with him if you want to contact him. And the first place that you would need to start is healing that broken heart and working within the broken heart in order to heal it. But I'm not going to contact him today because this is a class. So that will distract me from teaching. I'm really so sorry for your loss. Yeah, I'm not going to do it, Mark. My boundaries are really high and I will block you if you continue. Yeah. Yeah, he's just, going to keep going asking me that. I'm going to have to put him in timeout for just a little while so that he knows not to stop asking me psychic questions because I'm trying to teach a class. I need everybody to play good. Just roll with me and let me teach you for a bit. Ask me questions based upon the rules that I'm presenting right now. And those rules are no psychic questions about your life. If you want a psychic reading, you can hire me. I am for hire at PamelaAaralyn.com only this year. At some point later this year or very early next year, I'm actually going to be stopping doing the readings thing because what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to teach you how to do your own readings. Like that's my whole reason for existing, is to teach you compassion and forgiveness and access to your own higher selves. So I'm teaching a class on that on September the 12th. Again, please sign up for it before I have to close the doors because it's such a small channeling and we're almost out of space. So I'm blocking anybody who asks me psychic questions about your life so that I can focus on teaching you and answering your questions about channeling. We're to clear all the stigmas. Let's do that so we can be prepared for the class on September the 12th. How can one start channeling is the first question that I'm seeing. Again, with impaired sight, sometimes I don't see everything. So what you can do is just copy and paste your questions because it's hard for me to scroll otherwise. Kasia, how can I start channeling? How is it possible for everyone to channel? First of all, you have to realize that you are always channeling. There is no exceptions because you are multidimensional beings. So I taught a class on my Patreon channel. Now, Patreon, you don't always have to get it live. Every single class there is recorded except Discord chats and spiritual bonfires. And that's just recorded for your, not recorded for your privacy. So you can go see that class anytime on my Patreon channel. So that one, is the multiversal class. It's called multiversal living, and it talks about the 4 universes. And I taught it through Seth, and I taught it in a way where you understand that there is a component of you that's always dipping into other universes. So the best way you're going to understand this, go watch a movie for me. Have you guys ever watched the movie The Others with Nicole Kidman? I advise it a lot because we have this conception about what's going on as if spirits are intruding upon us. And she does too in this movie. I won't ruin it for you. You guys watched it? So when you go on and watch that movie, she is thinking the whole time that she has ghosts and that things are intruding upon her. And then she wakes up. She has a massive realization about what's really true about channeling. We are all in the same world, layered on top of each other. And the only thing different I could add to that perspective is consider it channeling like, so my brother's an air traffic controller at a very big international airport. And I've never been inside the tower, right? But I spy on him because I like to astral travel. So sometimes I just like to see what he's doing. And the first time I did that, I was like, whoa, my brother is so calm. He never says anything. He's so quiet. Unless you get a beer or two in him, he doesn't really say a word. So typical of Southern men, right? So one day I was astral projecting into his tower and looking over his shoulder, and what I saw blew my mind. Because I travel a lot. I'm in these planes, and it made me not want to travel again, by the way. But I saw basically all these little dots on a screen, and they were like everywhere, and they were crossing each other and going this way and that way. And he would give a directive, and a plane would be like this, and he'd give a directive, and it would just suddenly turn and not hit that plane. And I was like, you do this all day? You prevent planes from hitting each other all day? I couldn't do it. So channeling is a little bit like that. And say the air traffic controller is God or source. This isn't a religious thing. It could be an angels. Angels are all on that screen. So you got angels, you got them at one level. You have deceased beings at one level. You have deceased animals at another level. So deceased humans and animals, depending upon their evolution, could be at different levels of the multiverse. So you have dimensions within a universe, and then you have densities within those dimensions. So you're operating at a different density every single time you switch your thought. Your consciousness and energy primarily operates through thought. Therefore, every single time you switch your own thought process to a certain density, and in order to understand density, you need to understand emotions, your own emotions. When you match your emotional density to the emotional density of another being, now it's hard to match your emotional density to that of an angel or ascended master, but I can teach you that too. And Jen and I will do that on September the 12th. Okay, so you can sign up for that on my website. Again, that's PamelaAaralyn.com. Very exclusive, smaller channeling, and powerful. I love to teach channeling. I haven't taught a channeling class in, 4 years now? So it's time to do another one. But today, I'm just talking about some of the basics that we are going to be covering in class in a basic way so you can understand what you're getting into. So we're going to talk about the densities that you can shift yourself, how by embodying those beings because they are you. So this works on all levels because of the universal law of one, but it works on all levels because of the densities within the universal law of one. The universal law of one isn't, the law of one isn't the primary, it's one of the ways that we operate, but we are creative beings. So there are many ways within that we can access the law of one, which makes it not the primary law of this universe. Surprise. Right? Law of one is actually in places where bodies are completely light. They're not as dense as ours, which is why we have a hard time with law of one. So I'm going to be teaching you channeling in a different way. Okay, so the way that you can start to channel is by understanding this. just the deeper understanding of that. Okay. There are various techniques. Valentina, we're going to be talking more about techniques in class. I have hundreds. So on September the 12th, we're going to be talking about that. You can sign up for that at my website. It's called Embody Your Higher Self. So the first technique to embody your higher self is to stop thinking that you're separate from everything and stop putting these beings on a freaking pedestal. Jesus doesn't like that. He doesn't want to be seen up on a pulpit. He wants to be seen as inside of you. So diamond codes are one of the ways. We're going to be getting deeper into how do we use diamond codes. Well, I'm going to give you a quick technique now, just a gentle, basic one that everybody can do. In one of my alchemy books, in one of my older alchemy books, there were some codes. And these codes are sacred shapes that were the very first sacred shapes on this planet. And I call them the diamond codes. I've been using them for a while, but it was really funny to see Dolores like standing over clients doing like this over their heads or superimposed above them. It happened with my friend Candace Crawl Goldman. It happens to me. And we were all wondering, like, what does she want us to do? And it was a big duh. She wanted us to go deeper in a certain way with the diamond codes. So when you visualize, let's start with one of the first ones, which is the pyramid or the triangle. You're going to put this right here in your mind and just visualize that and the being that you want to channel. And you're going to put them facing you. Eyes are the window to the soul. So you're going to look into their eyes. This is just a beginning level. Now, I want you to do this with someone that you trust, not like a new being that you've never channeled. When you first start channeling, you need to think of someone that you'd feel safe actually being inside of your own form. Who would you feel that safe with? Right? For me, the first being that I did that with was Jesus. And then Archangel Michael and Hillel, and then Lilith, in that order. And then all the other ones came thereby. Okay? So you can put this code right here where your third eye is, or like if you want to see, if you want to get a fuller perspective, sight is not the primary perspective for channeling and is actually not required. Now, I know that many New Age teachings say that you should see and hear before you do anything else, but if you do that first, it's like eating the icing off of your cake first. Then you just get a sugar high and crash. That's what happens in your energy field as well when you see and hear first. So what I teach is for you to embody. All right. So one of the ways that you do that is put that diamond or triangle where your pineal gland is, which is more in the center of your brain. Put it there inside of you. Breathe through it. Put the person that you want to channel in front of you and breathe in and then exhale through the triangle this way. Not this way, not this way. The triangle's inside of your head. Breathe that way. They are going to inhale your breath through their own triangle in their minds. And when they exhale, that breath is going to come out their triangle and into your triangle. And then you're going to inhale their exhale. So this is a shared breath. We call this circular breathing as musicians. Musicians are always channels because a lot of them understand circular breathing. Watch a didgeridoo player. Watch them do that. French horn players sometimes have to do that too. There's a lot of air that has to go into some of these instruments. Okay. Astral travel is a whole different thing from channeling. Astral travel is taking your consciousness and moving it across dimensions. And I do have some classes on PamelaAaralyn.com for that if you look under recorded classes. So that's not our discussion today, okay? Channeling is a different thing. Someone said always put a bubble of white light around yourself. Yes and no. When you have fear, you shouldn't be astral traveling to begin with. If you need to put the white bubble around, that means you're afraid, normally. People do that because they're afraid of attack or intrusion. So the concept of attack actually creates more of what you are putting your focus towards. If you focus on attack, you get more of it. If you focus on fear, you get more of it. So you shouldn't actually attempt to channel other beings. What you should start with if you have fear is getting to know your higher self. Okay, which again, we're going to be discussing in this. You can't miss this class. It is one of those powerful classes I'm going to teach you, and I'm probably not going to teach another channeling class like that for at least a year. So September the 12th on that one, PamelaAaralyn.com. It's called Embody Your Higher Self. What you need to do is basically understand that you must get to know yourself and embody your higher self, talk to your higher self in order to learn to be a vibrational match with others. And to get there, you must see no other. You must only see yourself at all. So in order to be a really proper channel, an accurate channel, a clear channel, you need to get rid of your judgments. So if you look at another being and there's any way that you're judging that being, you can't channel that being. We always look up to other beings. So if you're going into astral travel involuntarily, you just need to meditate and get close to your higher self. Basically, this is a problem that's lack of grounding and lack of clearing. Watch your diet, do more basic work in order to stop that. Okay? Yeah. So today's class isn't going to be about that. So we're working with channeling, not astral projection. I'm trying to stay focused, and it kind of throws me when you ask questions that aren't about channeling, not just you, but anybody. Is there a deadline to sign up? We're going to sign up when we get too big of a class, which is already happening, and we're going to be closing those doors soon because the class is on September the 12th. That's coming up so soon. And if it starts filling up too fast, which it already is, we'll have to close it, which is why I'm telling everybody, do it today, do it tomorrow, do it within the week. Because I'd say within the week, if we get too many, we would have to close it. So we've got that urgency because of that, because we want to make sure we don't have, like 200 people there. we need to be able to work with everybody very intensely. And it's filling up. Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I'm glad that you asked it in that way. Lawanda's asked, if we asked as a child for our spiritual abilities potential not to be as powerful, how can we get it back? Well, I want to ask you, how do you know that you asked that? Do you personally remember asking that? A lot of people get their information about what happened as a child from channels, from other psychics. And there can be a lot of misperception in what other people perceive and tell us that we did in other lifetimes and that we did as a child. So if you clearly remember it, my answer is going to be different than if someone else is telling you that that's what's happened. Because what can be distracting from channeling is when psychics tell us this happened in another lifetime or this happened, in our childhood, and we don't remember it really. And what we need to do is call upon our higher self to tell us where we are now to find the truth about that. If you align with that, with what the person said, and you find a truth in it, and you really tapped into your higher self appropriately, then we can talk about that. But you would need to ask your higher self, is it true? Don't just take someone else's word for it. Yeah, it's the ultimate thing when you can tap into your higher self to trust your own power in that and to trust your own truth, to tap into your own truth. You remember clearly? Okay. Are you a ceremonial person? So many people I'm an alchemist. I teach a mystery school, both individually, and I'm starting a group one here soon as well, because I can reach more people that way. But I've been teaching one-on-one mystery school for a little while now. And in Hermetic alchemy, what you do is you get ritualistic, and people are terrified of rituals because they think it's occultism. Occult wasn't a bad word until like the 16th century, I think, when an alchemist named John Day put kind of a demonic spin on things, and then demonic cults began, and fear-based occults began because people began to utilize black magic without understanding what it was. So cult back in the day, and what I mean by back in the day is before all this happened in ancient Egypt and prior, cult meant family. So you can get ceremonial. You can ask for your rites of passage as a clear, protected, connected being. So that's one way you can do that. If you want to learn more about ceremonial rites, you can visit my colleague's site. They have a Patreon site where they do these kind of ceremonial rites all the time. Maybe they'll do one for you if you put it in voting. It's Lightworkers 613. Okay, so you can find them on Patreon. So what you would need to do is do something that means something powerful to you. So, because I have a lot of Hindu past lifetimes, I like puja. I really do. It's just one of the things where when I want to get in connection with myself, I do that. So you can call back your power, call back your own wisdom, and call back your own connection. You can do that inside of a sacred shape. You can literally create one on the floor around you. You can do this with salt. You can do this with crystals. You can do this with flowers and a combination of salt and flowers. There's so many ways that you can make a ceremonial rite really powerful. And this is another way to get deeper into channeling. Okay? So you can ask for your gifts to be returned in that way. And now, I use a lot of different invocations because I'm an alchemist. However, you don't have to use invocations. You don't have to say things the way that I do. All right? Your higher self knows your intentions. You can just understand that this is a callback to your own sacred divine nature. You can ask for your restoration of the connection with your true divine nature. Yeah. You want to be a regular person this time? Well, you got your wish, huh? Being a regular person, like, what does that even mean to you? You can't be a regular person in an insane world when you've been an irregular person in a sane world so many times. You've been an awakened person in an insane world as well so many times. So I'm going to say that again. You can't be a regular person in an insane world. And this is an insane world. According to all the beings that I work with, this is the world that's insane. The other worlds that actually don't have duality are sane and functional. It's ours that isn't. Right? Yeah, so you can't be a regular person in an insane world. You just can't. It doesn't work that way. You're here to stand out. And if you're going to channel, you better get used to standing out. You better get used to persecution. You better get used to facing your fears. All of those things need to happen with channeling. Yeah. You were afraid? Well, you still got time. Lawanda, you're still alive. You still have a body. You still got time. It wasn't like, oh, I was supposed to be this and I turned it off, so now I'm stuck not doing what I was meant to do. You could call back your purpose anytime. Do it now. Do it today. But you can't be afraid of you. You can't be afraid of your power if you want to access it. So do some tapping. Come to my class with Jen Ward, and she would give you a tap for that to clear those blocks. It's one of the things that Jen's going to be doing. I'm going to be teaching techniques, and she is too. But I'm the technique person. She's a clearer. She's a healer. So if people come and they can't access because they've got a block, she's going to work you through it and give you a tap for it. So come to that class if you have channeling blocks. A lot of people come to our classes when they have blocks. Okay, again, for that one, September the 12th, PamelaAaralyn.com. A lot of these techniques that I'm getting into at a basic level today, we're going to be going real deep with them in class. Question. Let's see. Still got a little bit of time. Do extraterrestrials and or guides channel through you through your own thoughts, even though your pineal gland is calcified? Yes. You just see, they're going to do it, and calcification isn't going to stop that. What helps in the detoxification of the pineal gland is actually that you become aware of what and when and why. So when you start to get to really get deeply into channeling, you learn the what, not the who. The who doesn't matter. You learn the what and the why and the when it's happening. All those things are more important for your awareness than the who. They're the names that you get in channeling, they're just other aspects of you and or in your soul family. Um, there's no other way around that. They have to be a portion of your DNA in order to be able to contact you even, right? So yeah, I understand that some of you are not going to be able to make it. This is why we offer recordings for people who cannot make it live and work with us live. And it's just as powerful to do these taps and techniques when you're not live than it is when you are. So you get recordings, but you won't. This is not going to be a class that I put up on my website anytime after September the 10th, which is 2 days before. And if we close it prior to then, due to its popularity, right now it's a very popular class, and if it gets bigger, we'll have to close it because it's too big. So we won't offer recordings or put it on the class for people who can't get it in advance. It's an exclusive class. So we're just trying to keep it small. So it's not going to be a replay for people who make it afterwards. But if you make it in advance, if you register for it, if you happen to get a chance to register for this class, which is still open today, can't promise you about tomorrow, probably try to keep it open within the week, but I'm not sure after that, it's getting big, then you'll get a recording and it'll just come to the email that you signed up with, when you scheduled the class, and then you can listen to it anytime you want. I'm a busy mom of 4, so I understand that not everybody can be there live. I get that. So you can listen to it whenever you want within 30 days. Those recordings last for 30 days. There's a reason for that. A lot of people were sharing my content, sharing the links in the classes, which makes it impossible for me as a single mom to support my 4 children. Their dad passed 2 years ago, so I don't have, any form of support in that way. So when people share my classes, it takes from my family and from our business. So I had to do that to protect the business in that way. Too much sharing was going on. And then people don't sign up and actually value the work as much. And then another reason why I make the recordings last only 30 days is because the info is relevant for 30 days, because I'm a clear channel. After 30 days, all the info that I pull in may be completely different. I may teach you channel in a completely different way the very next month. That's how quickly people are evolving. You guys are masters, and you don't even know it. You don't even know how powerful you are. I'm teaching masters, and you don't know that you're masters, which is quite funny to me. It's the paradox. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Allison said, this is so juicy. It is. I'm going to be giving away my juiciest, quickest, clearest secrets in this class. So not just in this one, but the one on September the 12th as well. Playing in the ethers. Yeah. Protein or veggies? I talked about this yesterday. It's both. We have evolved beyond animal protein, people. I'm really sorry to have to say that, because I know that there are a few people left on Earth that have some conditions that cause them to need animal proteins, but they are few and far, like maybe people who have PKU. There's people with blood disorders that require animal proteins, but they're in the rarity. The majority of the people on the planet can take their proteins from anywhere but animals and live just well. All right. And those animal proteins have a certain type of fat that coagulate your blood, and they cause the sugars from carbs to not be processed, which causes diabetes, high cholesterol, cancer, and some of the number 1 killers on this planet. And it makes you really stop being able to channel. You notice that after you eat meat, suddenly you get all anxious and you get tense, and you kind of just get like you don't want to be around anybody. It's the meat. Yeah. So a lot of people have scientifically said you can't have B12 if you don't, B12 comes from everywhere. I don't believe that. There are plenty of studies that prove otherwise on the National Library of Health. So a lot of meat eaters really don't want to do their research. So the problem with stopping fully is that now someone, can correct me if I'm wrong about this. I'm always open for correction if I do happen to be wrong, but I do my research when it comes to food. All right. Yeah, eggs are terrible. Eggs are meant to support, particularly the yolk is meant to support baby hens, which need a lot of fat need to fatten up in order to actually be hatched from the egg. So they have everything that they need to go into a big fat chicken, right? Are you trying to do that to yourself? Not really. So eggs have so much cholesterol and so much fat that basically, again, it coagulates your blood, prevents carbs from being accessed. You actually need carbs to channel. You need a lot of freaking carbs to channel. And don't worry, if you're not getting all these animal fats and animal proteins, you're not going to get diabetes. So I want you to watch an independent film. You can get it free on YouTube, or you can go buy it and support it. That's even better. It's called What the Health? What the Health? And you will understand why you need to get away from the animal stuff. Even with fish, it has certain mercury is the damage with fish, not the fats, but the mercury. Fish is the only thing where I can tell you can get animal protein and be okay and it not cause all these other health problems or block your channeling. But if you get too much fish, it's going to be really hard. If you get too much fish, you're going to have to clear that. But the problem that I haven't been able to resolve with fish is the omega-3s from fish are clear and they're not rancid. It's really hard to get omega-3s from vitamins. All right. How am I? I'm good. Thank you for asking. That's so sweet. Yeah. I feel better when I don't eat meat as well. And I feel a little bit kind of lazy and blah. I still eat fish because I haven't found a way to get omega fatty acids, omega-3 properly. It's rancid in vitamins. I really haven't found a solution for this. I'm still researching. Haven't found a solution yet. If someone knows it, feel free to school me because that's something that I'm asking advice on because I don't know. I could completely change the way I advise people if I do know. Vitamin B12, you can get it properly from supplements. And yes, I have done my research on that, and you can too. So, but don't believe me. Go do your own research everywhere. And studies around the world show you that you can. You can get that from chlorella. That's what research shows this year as of B12. Get it from chlorella. Right? So you have to supplement when you don't eat meat. But you can do it. And the only reason why you have to supplement is because our biome is so stripped. So understanding food is a big part of channeling. It's a big part of channeling. You need to eat well to be a proper channel. You can't fast too much, but you also have to fast when needed. And you need to be able to tap into your higher self to tell you when your body needs to fast and when your body needs to eat, right? So I need more fasting than I actually do. I love food. Yeah. So thoughts on the medical medium? I don't find that to be really professional for me to have any thoughts on other professionals. Let's put it that way. I don't advise you on other professionals. Yeah, I just don't. There's a lot of thoughts I have on it, but you can ask me that privately. Who I really, really support professionally is Zach Bush, MD. Zach Bush, MD. He's a doctor. He's done his research. He has a product, and I don't support products too often. You never hear me talking about products. Hang on, yeah. But he has a product called Ion Biome Gut Restore. So remember that Ion and Go. It's the only product on this website. I take it every day to restore my gut because our soils, our air is stripped. The soils are stripped from trace minerals, which prevent us from getting the vital nutrients we need in our vegetables, which is what's making veganism hard for channels, okay? Yeah, well, some people are like you, Gina. She said, I eat once a day, hate food. A lot of channels either hate food, it's like love or hate. There's nothing in between, right? Channels are like, you can kind of get an amen. Yep, they are all year like that, right? I love food, love. But a lot of channels don't. So you find that food's your struggle or food's your in a certain way. Intermittent fasting, yes, Kathy, that is a game changer for channels. So take one meal and just don't eat. For me, it's breakfast. I do not like breakfast, so I intermittently fast in that way every day almost. I'd say 90% of the time, I do not eat breakfast. It's just not my body type, right? Yeah. So you don't have to do all those things though, Vicky. If you understand how to heal your gut, you don't have to, you know, be eating a specific way all the time. It can be a little bit like a garden hose on a fire if you don't restore your gut first. You start to eat well, but you don't restore your gut, you're still not being able to absorb the nutrients. Yeah. You're thrilled that my eyes are getting better? Thank you. I'm thrilled about it too. I started to do a bunch of different things. I was involved in a tiny little clinical trial. Needles in the eyeballs didn't feel good. It was really good. I was only putting my own stem cells back into my retina, and it worked really well. Like within 8 weeks, I started to see results, and my eyes get better daily. Another thing that I did was I started taking in lutein. A friend of mine sent me some involved with some Chinese herbs, so I started taking that combination. And I also did a lot of taps from my friend Jen Ward to clear it. So I started doing her taps back then. I found the free energetic cleanse on her website, and I started doing that. And it was the combination of those three things that did it. All right, we have a little bit of time for questions. If you guys get me started on food with channeling, it's an entire class. I mean, I do non-psychotropic plant medicine. I mean, I could keep going and giving you tons of advice of how to start with the body to channel more clearly, because that's just, as an Eastern yogi, that's what I do. I love talking about that. So don't ask me any more questions about food, or I'll be here all day with food and supplements and crystals all day. Does tapping help channeling? Oh my gosh, yes. I don't tap when I need to ground and stop channeling. Let's put it that way. It works so well that like suddenly when I tap, all the beings that want to talk to me are like, hey. And I'm like, no, sleep. It's 3 a.m. for freak's sake. Right? Please do a class on food. I have so many classes about that on Patreon. It would blow your mind, and they're all recorded. You can listen to them anytime. The plant medicine classes in particular were really powerful. I don't know if it's called that, Allison. I just remember it's What the Health. And it's about this guy who does a lot of research with food, and he started to realize that when he went to the American Diabetes Association, the American Cancer Association, the American Breast Cancer Association, the Susan B. Komen Foundation, he went to all these places and he realized that they were advocating for eating certain foods that were listed as a no-no in research that actually like double your risk rate for cancer, heart disease, and cholesterol and diabetes. So he started like combining what they advocate and what they advise on their websites with what is shown in studies, and it didn't match up. So he started to call them on the phone. He started to try to have interviews with them. And then he went and had interviews with endocrinologists about diabetes. And he went and had interviews with other doctors about what they discovered in their practice. I love to talk to doctors about their practice, right? And the doctors were saying it's not about sugar. It's about the fact that you're putting so much animal proteins, because you can't avoid sugar. Have you guys tried to do these fad diets like keto and Atkins when they say eat a bunch of fat and avoid sugars? You can't do it. Your body will stop you. Your body will be like, WTF are you doing to me? Sugars and fruits are the highest frequency foods on this planet for a reason. My favorite food is ash gourd. I love it, and then when I'm sick, I'm drawn towards onions and garlic and mushrooms Sometimes mushrooms, even when my emotional content is a little bit too high, I'll use mushrooms because they're catabolic. So I love Ayurvedic medicine. And when it comes to food, there's a tons of sugar in foods, and it's next to possible to avoid. So sugar is not really the problem for channels. That you can't live without it as a channel. What you need is to get rid of the animal proteins and the metals. Those are the things that block channeling. My goodness gracious, it's turning into a food class, but it's the basis of everything. If you don't fix that, you can't channel. Like you may as well, you'll channel a little bit and then your ego will distract you. You'll channel a little bit and then something will disturb it and it'll be ego again. Ash gourd, look it up. It's a melon. It's so yummy. And I also love cantaloupe, which is the orange melon. I love that. Ash gourd is green and cantaloupe is orange. So green and orange. Yeah. I love fruits for channeling. When I channel, I eat fruit all day and nothing else, or I'll just juice and nothing else, or I'll skip 2 meals and then eat ash gourd and then channel. Those are one of my secrets for channeling. What food helps with blood flow? Beets. I hate beets for that. You can overdo it though. So listen to your body on that. Don't overdo it. All right. I still have a few more questions about how to channel. Can someone who is clairsentient develop clairaudience? That's kind of a yes, but. I'm going to use the word but for that. If you find that you're more claircognizant, you're more apt to develop the clairaudience and then eventually the clairvoyance. If you find that you're more clairsentient, which is more empathy and feeling, you'll be more of a physical medium. It's such a powerful gift that you don't need to see and hear, so it's harder for you empaths to develop sight. Over time, you may indeed develop the sound, the clairaudience, but it's not a good idea to put your focus on it. It's just really not a good idea. Okay. You've got so much going on that you're going to go into more physical mediumship. Thank you so much for the super chat. Aw, thanks guys. Thanks for those donations. It really helps me to continue to afford to be able to offer these things. Yeah, it's when you're going to go into physical mediumship and it's such a big deal. It's so hard to be a physical medium. My partner's a physical medium and it's getting stronger and stronger on a daily basis. She can't drop by like a haunted place without wanting to throw up. Her body has such a powerful reaction that it goes straight into nausea because it's completely uncontrolled. So it's going to take me a lot of work with her just to develop the physical mediumship in a way that doesn't like freak out the body. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Spirits clog your ears when they talk in your ear. If you're a physical medium, it can feel like a massive earache. And then when, if it's too much, your body will give you this clogging sound. The best way I can describe that in channeling is it'll feel like an arrow of sound. Has this ever happened to you guys? An arrow of sound just went into this side or another side, doesn't matter. Wherever the spirit is, if they're over here or over here, an arrow goes through, and this is a bit too much. So in order for you to focus on it, this side of your vision, sorry, not your vision, your hearing clogs. And it's sort of like you have earplugs in this side, and it goes, it's like that. So you watch again. And then you've got a clog on this side. It's like somebody just put earmuffs on you. And then on this side, it's wide open. And it's just like, oh, and then the ringing starts. If you don't know how to control it, then the ringing starts. So, yeah. Also, if you don't have enough B12, if you're not supplementing, it's really hard, for initial vegans to process B12. So only initially your body will adjust. Okay. Your body will adjust, but for a while, it could be a year or so, you're going to need to supplement with B12. Maybe do a food class. Oh, jeez. Forever. I can be teaching forever about food. Say what now? What a cool name. He says, whenever I watch your channeling videos on YouTube, I feel like it activates my channeling too. Yeah. I'm hijacking your channel. Literally. So my purpose in life is one of the missions, not the purpose, is to be an activator. So when people come to my classes, and Jen, she's an activator as well. So when people are around her or when they're around me, their gifts get activated, or something needs to come up. I'm also a catalyst. So if something comes up emotionally, it pulls all your emotions to the surface. So some people cry when they're around me. Some people get angry with me and they just get rubbed by me the wrong way. So people either really love me and watch my work, or they can't stand to be around me because I catalyze them to feel something or see something about themselves that they don't want to see, that they're not ready to feel. So that's the other thing that happens when you're around channels. Channels are natural catalysts, and most of them are also natural activators. But my activation abilities are just a little bit bizarre. People can sit with me on a daily basis in mentorship and have all their gifts open up without me teaching them a single damn thing, which is frustrating for me, because then they're like, what did you do? Oh, these spirits were around my bed last night. And I'm like, what? And my higher self has a mind of her own. I'm not always aware of what she does, and she just goes. And some people say she shows up in their meditations or in their sleep, or, in their cars. I'm sitting with people on the way to work talking to them, and I'm like, then interesting things happen. People take that to mean that I'm personally interested in them in some way, which gets really uncomfortable because I don't know you. Gina says, I can feel when people walk into a room or an energy comes in, like a TV turning on. Yeah, it is that way in channeling, but you can't let it freak you out. Don't freak out is one of my biggest mottos in channeling. You're going to start to experience things that you don't understand. And what I'm here to do is help you understand it and to help you stop freaking out. All right? All right, got 5 more minutes. Do people who are mediums are they prone to migraines? If they are mostly telepathic, which means it comes through your own mind, then yes, that means you're more cognizant. You work through the cerebellum, that part of your brain, and you work through thought patterns that just kind of pop in. It can be very intrusive, that you get a thought and you're like, oh, why am I thinking that about these people? And if you don't manage judgments, which is a big part of telepathy, you will begin to think that you're just this very mean person when you're having these thoughts. And what you're doing is picking up and translating that person's thoughts into your own thoughts, and then you think you thought something bad about them. Did you know that happens in telepathy? So if you don't manage judgments, it can drive you crazy. You'll think that you're just a big old bad meanie. So I am also a telepath. So I get thought downloads all the time. So I had to work on judgments from the time I was a child. And I'm like, why? And I just don't trust that person. Why am I just like thinking bad thoughts about them? And then I realized they were thinking those same bad thoughts about me. So I just projected. So you have to learn to stop judgmental projections as a telepath. I'll talk about that a lot more in class on September the 12th. Guys, please don't forget to sign up for that. I cannot advise you enough because, I'm going to shut the doors on that at some point when it starts getting bigger here soon. It's on September the 12th. I have a class on YouTube called Judgment Detox. It was such a powerful, important class for telepaths because when you stop judging in a specific way and you understand how you judge, and you start understanding that judgment is necessary and that there are different types of judgments. We think of judgment as being like, oh, you're thinking bad things about someone. There are two things that I teach about in that class. One is called progressive judgment, which is helpful and creative to your channeling. One is called regressive judgment, which is unhelpful and painful, and it causes suffering for you and all. So you can find that one on YouTube. I put it on YouTube for free because it's important for you to understand how you judge, because if you have a body, you do judge. It's impossible to not judge if you have a mind and body. Judgment is a tool that helps you discern appropriately for creative preference. You can't manifest what you want without judgment. True? You hear me? Like if you're saying I want this and I want that, you're automatically judging. That's a progressive judgment. Because there's a positive reason why you want it. Right? So understand that, and you'll get better at telepathically channeling. Teresa says, a few years ago, I was turned and twisted one night, vibrating for a few minutes. I wasn't frightened. It was crazy, but I knew it was okay. So the way that I would explain that for new channels, when you're just getting used to physical mediumship, that's one thing that happens. So you could be a lot more channeling from here, and it expresses itself through physical clairsentience, meaning you have a clear feeling in the body and you have a clear feeling emotionally, those two things. So what can happen is it overwhelms your emotions or overwhelms the body. And what that looks like is sort of the best analogy I can give you. When I was, a college student, students here, if you've been a student, you can raise your hand on this one. You don't start out with a Lamborghini in college because you can barely afford your food when you're living off ramen noodles. Your car also looks a little bit like a ramen noodle. So I had this real, land job of a car, and it was just this, it was a little hatchback Toyota Tercel, and it vibrated when I would get above, like between the levels of 65. It was hard. I had to really hit that gas pedal to make 65. It started really struggling after 55. And then by the time it hit 65, the whole wheel would just, my hands would be shaking. And I'm like, let's go, car. I think I can. It's like a little engine that could, right? So your body is like that. And when you have a certain density frequency in the body and the mind, there's a literal vibration that you feel. Okay? Allison said my car is still like a ramen noodle, right? So there's this physical vibration that needs to adjust. And then you notice when you get that car over like between 70 and 75, you're good. Yeah, I know. I was going 75. We didn't even have the speed limit at 75 on the interstate back then, giving away my age. So, it's like that. It will adjust, and there will always be this little frequency shift between the body and the spirit. So the spirit's the driver of that car, and your body is the car in this analogy. Okay. So you need to breathe, and the breath calms the body down. The breath is like the gas in the body. The food is as well. This is why we talk so much about food today. Your car was one of those. I think Pearl said she had that car too. So mine was a 1984 Toyota Tercel hatchback. And my brother, we're 5 years apart. So he was a teenager while I was in college. And he would put these massive speakers. Do you remember back then in the 90s when people had these big boxy, they looked like amps, these big boxy speakers, and the teenagers would put them in the back of the car. The trunk could barely close. And then he'd put on like Tupac or something or whatever he was listening to, whatever rap it was. And I've got to drive him. I pick him up from his friend's house, and he didn't know how to drive yet. And here I was driving around, just kind of going like this, like the shame, I'm like, I'm not a rap person, and they're calling their moms bees and all kind of stuff through those speakers. And I'm like, oh God, yeah, get out now. I'm leaving. He was just as embarrassed of me. He's like, my big sister's going to drive me around. Yeah. A mental and emanate love 777 is the same thing that I just discussed about the car. So scroll back later if you just entered, but that's the same thing that happens. The physical density is too low, and the spirit doesn't have density. It's just light, and there's so much light that it's permeating the body, and the body's very dense, and there's a mismatch. So that's what that electrical energy is as well. There's a mismatch. Was I a medium in my past life? Yeah. I've been a medium, writer, musician, airplane pilot. I know. Yeah. Shaman, druid, everything. So trying to help you remember those sacred times is a big deal for me. That's why I call myself an alchemist, because the sacred teachings are still the very best. All right, guys, I got to get going. What's my go-to practice for raising my vibration? Sound. Sound, sound, sound. I love sacred sound. I just really love to chant. I love listening to, and I taught myself overtone chanting. And I did that by being around my friend Stuart Pierce. You can work with him as well at angelsofatlantis.com. And he's a vocal coach. Did you guys know that about Stuart? He's amazing. And he taught me overtoning along with my friend Anna, who does tutorials. And you can find her for free on YouTube if you YouTube searched up as YouTube. What is it on YouTube? It's Overtone Tutorial Anna. Search it like that and you'll find her. All her videos are black and white, or most of them are. And she teaches about, your tongue placement in your mouth and how to move your mouth and how to what position your mouth needs to be in for overtone chanting and all those sort of things. Yeah. No, my channeling class is not on Patreon. I don't often get enough financial support to make those things happen, to pay my guest speakers appropriately on Patreon. It doesn't have enough support right now. Maybe one day in the future when it does, I can do that. But the channeling class is on PamelaAaralyn.com. You will get a Zoom link and you can listen or watch. You don't have to, as long as you have smartphone, iPad, computer, laptop, you can watch it on anything, or just listen. If you don't feel like pulling up our video to see it, you can do either way. You can just call it. It's got to call in from your phone. You don't have to be at home on your internet to do it. Zoom is really easy. So easy. So my classes are normally, TC said how many people are allowed in the class. And most of my classes are around 250 and 500. We're not going to have that many in this class. We're going to stop it before 250. So you'll have as few as possible. Right now, we only have 31 people. Right now, it's a small, intimate class. And, we don't plan to have it be very, very big for a specific reason. That's why I'm saying get in before you can't. Yeah. No, we always use Zoom, Dr. G, on my PamelaAaralyn.com classes. We do not use Vimeo. So what you do is you get a replay that's Vimeo if you can't make it live. So if you can't make it live, you get your Zoom link. And then if you can't make it live, the week after, anytime between 2 to 7 days after the channeling, you will receive a Vimeo link with a password that will be active for 30 days only. And that's because of pirating and people just sharing the stuff. And I've had people put things on YouTube playlist and give away my paid work for free. All sorts of love has happened there. They're like, I love it so much, I'm going to make a playlist out of it. So we put it on Vimeo with a password, and that password changes after 30 days. But you can listen to it anytime within those 30 days. Yes, you can. It's right there on the website. So when you go to PamelaAaralyn.com, just scroll down a little bit, you'll see the Abraham Lincoln thing, and right up underneath there, the two channelings are right there in massive, big, massive bars. It's right there. So you just click on it and it'll take you right to it. And it says embody your higher self. And there's a picture of Jen on one side, embodying her higher self as Helena Blavatsky, Madame Blavatsky. That's who she was. And then there's my picture as Pamela. Embodying Pamela. To the right, that picture, do you see it? That's it. That's the one you click on. And that is the class. You guys will really enjoy it because we're going to go from the sublime to the ridiculous in techniques. And then when you have blocks, she's going to give you taps that clear your specific blocks. So that's very, very personal. It's a very personal class. I love working with her. She brings out the best in me. She brings out all my most powerful teachings. That's why you see her so much. So I will see you guys then on September the 12th. I hope you guys can make it because it's going to be a while before I offer another channeling class like this. This one's really powerful and personal for everyone in attendance. We're going to focus on your specific issues with channeling and how to get you to become a powerful channel. Embodying your higher self is the best way to channel, the best way. And you're not taught that anywhere else. This is why these teachings are unique. You won't get that in any other type of channeling class. So I got to go have some breakfast. I only have 20 minutes before teaching someone to channel. So we'll see you guys on September the 12th. Namaste.